guys, it's me, Deedubs, and welcome to my channel. Click the like button and hit the subscribe button down below. And let's get into the video. Topic of today is, guess what? We moved. A background story is that in 2018 we lived in a basement apartment. There was only the two of us and the two dogs. Faint right there, Shiloh, who is on the floor. During that time, me being a dog lover, we decided that we wanted to add another addition to our Benji and Faint and Shiloh. They were really good dogs. They're not that loud, and we thought that we could handle three. Unfortunately, Benji, this guy, as a puppy, he was a howler. He was super loud. And we knew that we were disturbing the other residences up top. We did get one complaint in regards to that. So we decided that since our lease was almost up, that we would find another place. Hey! And that's when we had to try to look around. Steven's mom, she had done a rent-to-own with our sketchy landlord, and well, we ended up contacting him because we also wanted to stop renting from people, but to start owning our own place down the road. And so that's when we decided to contact him. And fortunately, he actually had a property that he was willing to do a rent-to-own with us, with the three dogs. Of course, this sketchy landlord had been sketchy, and well, yeah, obviously we jumped the gun, and in December 2018 we decided to move into a 3-bedroom house, which had a backyard. At our old place we had street parking, and this one had driveway parking, which was even more epic, and it seemed like the perfect house for us, and we fell in love with it eventually. Of course, this would bite us in the butt. Our landlord had knocked on our door and literally told us that he had owed the government a lot of money, and that he didn't have it, and he wanted to sell the property for that reason. And that was around June 2019. So that was about 6 months of living there, already changing up the place because he allowed us to, and just making it into our dream home, and to make it a house that we loved. Well, great, now we have to find a new place. Apartments were obviously way out of our even thought, and now we had to find something in our budget. Knowing Hamilton now, even then, the cost of living there is just way too high. And so when we tried to find a house or even a townhouse that was even in our budget, it was next to impossible. It was next to impossible. And most of the houses were now like duplexes, triplexes. We couldn't find a whole house. Most of them were like $2,300. It was like, who can afford that? I was working a full-time job plus a part-time job. Steven was working a full-time job, working 12 hours a day. And like, even when we worked that much, we couldn't even fathom the thought of taking that. And so we looked outside of Hamilton, so like Binbrook, Stony Creek. And now the issue was finding a landlord that was willing to take 3 dogs, because most of the places there, it's just, you need to have a perfect credit score, you need to have no pets. We are non-smokers, which I guess is a good thing, but it was the dog issue that we had. And there was no way that we were gonna give any of our dogs away. No, it's not gonna happen. Don't care. Nope, these are my babies, these are my kids, and we were gonna figure out a way to make sure that they were to stay with us. So Steven's mom, she grew up in Sault Ste. Marie, and his grandparents had also lived in Sault Ste. Marie. So we kind of just decided to look up how much renting is here and what would the cost of buying a house down the line would be, and it ended up being so much cheaper, and seemingly people understood our circumstances more and were really inclined that they were all pet friendly, and we had found a landlord that had a whole house for a 3-bedroom house. It was so much cheaper than the 3-bedroom house that we were doing in Hamilton too. Hey, that's mine. And so that's why we jumped the gun to move up here. And so we signed the application, we signed our lease, we went to go view the place in July 2019, and then we moved up here about a month after that in August 2019, which was the most stressful thing ever. Comment down below if you've ever thought about moving 8 hours away from everything you've known. So like friends, family. We don't know anybody here. So that was a big step for us. I never thought that I would move away from my family, let alone my siblings, my sisters mostly, because I'm so close with them, and to be away from all that, officially make this move away from everybody that we know. So what made us decide to being away from friends and family we didn't think was gonna be a big issue, just because because we work so much, or I never really had time for it in general. I was always working all day and he was working all day. So the time that we did have, we usually just spent it with our dogs and ourselves. And even that, it was barely anything. So we didn't think, can you see him? We didn't think it was a big deal. Hey, that's mine. The move itself and trying to plan the move was the most stressful thing, just because now we have to find a moving truck, or even friends or family who were able to help us make that big move, because again, it is 8 hours. So I had been looking at how much moving companies and how much moving trucks cost, and moving companies with people helping you move was no way it was gonna happen. Some places were charging like 10 grand, and that's just unreasonable. So I looked at moving trucks, finding one of like the biggest moving trucks that you can rent out with the G license, so that we could just have friends and family help us pack everything up, and then we were just going to make the drive. So a lot of them were able to do a pickup in Hamilton, so pick up the big truck in Hamilton, and then we were able to drop off the truck in Sault Ste. Marie instead of driving the truck back because some places actually wanted us to do that. We ended up going with a U-Haul because with U-Haul truck, a likely situation for us, so it just seemed like it wasn't to bring the truck back to Hamilton because we didn't really want to do that, even though our planning was to come back to Hamilton. So I don't even know what we were thinking, but I guess that was just a cheaper option for us that time. The moving day, it was a 3-day moving trip. So the first day we picked up the truck at 7 a.m. and we picked up the truck at 7 a.m. started packing the truck until about 6 p.m. at night. Stephen and his friend were going to drive overnight to Sault Ste. Marie, and then I was gonna meet them the following day with one of the dogs. Faint is very food aggressive, so he was likely not the dog that we would want to leave with other family members. Benji, he's the easiest, I would say, to take care of because he's the baby. So he stayed with my older sister that weekend. And Shiloh, she had grew up with my mom. Before I met Steven, she was my first dog. And so my mom knew her better and knew her needs more because she is a chow chow. She's a bit more aggressive towards certain people. But Shiloh loves my mom. It's crazy. She has such an attachment to my mom. And I don't know, she's different around my mom than she is around other people. She's very standoffish. Up with me the following morning. So I took Faint. I left around 5 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't get there until just before 2 o'clock. My aunt and my uncle and my older cousin, they had decided that they wanted to help us move, which was amazing. Thank you again. So they helped us unpack the truck. We stayed there overnight, and then we left that day around 6, I think around 5 or 6 in the morning again. So we made it back to Hamilton again around, well, I think that day was 1:30. We just wanted to avoid all traffic if possible. Toronto traffic to be stuck in is about 3 hours, and doing an 8-hour trip plus an extra 3 hours was going to be insane, like not worth it. So that's why we decided to always leave super early so that we could avoid all traffic if possible. And then that day we dropped, Steven's friend came with us going down to Hamilton, and then we were gonna pick up all the dogs. We spent the night at my mom's with all 3 dogs, and then we were gonna make the trip again back up. So it was a very tiring weekend, going up and down and up and down. I wouldn't recommend it being like that, but just due to our circumstances and with our dogs, we didn't know any other way to. A lot of people had suggested kenneling them. My dogs, especially this one, she's very aggressive. Not towards other dogs, which is weird, but to other people she can be, to have them move. Now that she's getting older and that it's been about a year since we've moved here, you can see the signs that she's also getting aggressive towards other dogs. Faint, again, he's super food aggressive, and since he's the biggest out of the 3, he's also the strongest, which means people would need to know how to handle him, and a lot of people don't. And I think Benji would have been the easiest, but then what's the point of that? Just kenneling one dog and then just making them, then taking the 2. So it only made sense to take the one who is the easiest for us to handle, which is Faint, but to other people he's really not easy. And I didn't figure out how to end this video. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye now. First things first, these are my personal experiences and